people who say this is Mike Tomlin's best coaching job, you say what?
I'd have to think about it.
Can you put it amongst the top?
Well, we said the same thing a couple years ago, right?
The Duck year?
The Duck Mason year. And, that's when they brought Minka in. So that was, 3 seasons ago. I don't know. But there was stuff that, the thing is, the reason I would tend to say no is because of how the same stuff keeps happening over and over. Meaning the offense can't get anything. And whether you want to blame it on him or not, he's
responsible.
Yeah, he's ultimately responsible. And the offense just sucks at the beginning of games. And then the defense is so bad. And then we'll talk about it specifically with the Chiefs, is that they had the ball for like 25 minutes of the first half.
People who make the argument that it is will say this. One, they're 9-7-1, okay?
Sure.
They had a winning record. They went 9-7-1. Two, they went 4-0 against the two teams that were thought to be the best teams in the division going into the year,
right,
or that were going to cause a lot of havoc. They didn't lose to Baltimore and didn't lose to Cleveland. Ben isn't good, or his skills are deteriorating, I should say. That's unfair. Ben's good.
He threw some great passes when it was like 3rd and 4th and long.
But his skills are deteriorating,
yes,
and he's playing behind an offensive line, which even through all of this got him sacked 38 times or something like that. They are not good. I can say that.
Sure.
And Tuitt, Juju, Dotson, Ebron, those guys were hurt hurt for considerable time. And so he went into a season with different plans on what he thought his team would look like. And then he has Ingram walk off the field and say, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not even coming to practice, and made something out of that situation.
Does he bear any responsibility for that?
But he doesn't necessarily bear the responsibility, but he's left to deal with picking up the pieces from it as well. Again, this isn't my argument. I'm making the argument that people are making.
Some people would make the argument, I guess we'll start with the points that Jim made of, the problems that were problems at the start of the year have remained problems throughout the year. Perhaps the problem with Melvin Ingram was that the coach led him to believe he was going to play more or have a bigger role even once both outside linebackers were healthy. And, there's a whole litany of things I think you can also ask, how much of Mike Tomlin's how much of these fall on Mike Tomlin's shoulders is his responsibility.
I think he's done a hell of a job.
I think he's done a good job.
This is one of his top 3 coaching jobs.
I don't think he's been horrible by any stretch, but those are the 2 things that stuck out to me. Having said that, there was one point in the second half where they did do what we said they should have done more of, which is they handed the ball to Murray 3 straight times, and they didn't pick up a first down. And that was a big 3-and-out series for the Steelers in the second half of that game.
Well, and I look at it this way too, Colin. I go by expectations, preseason expectations. We all thought they were going to be right around a 500 team, right, and maybe get one of the final wild card spots. That's exactly what happened. So if you don't go blasting away expectations, then I guess I have a harder time saying it's the best.
But we thought Juju would be employed the whole season. We thought Tuitt would play all year. We thought Alu would play all year. Like I look at if they had all their top personnel, I think they'd have one more win. And then we're talking a 10-6-1 team.
Probably 2, though.
Let's just give them one. Let's give them one win.
Well, okay.
Let's say, let's turn that tie into a win.
Okay.
And make it, 10-7.
Right.
That exceeds everyone's expectations going into the season, I think. I didn't hear one person say, they're a 10-win team. Everybody said they're a 500 team.
8 or 9, yeah.
Well, what's going to happen is, let's just say as everybody expects, the Steelers lose. And worse, get blown out again in Kansas City. It's just not competitive. And so then you're left with, oh boy, we got the 20th draft pick, and it would have been better to rebuild.
But again, I think that, and I don't buy into that. I give me more football, give me more playoff games, win as much as you can. I'd rather have that than, at least we lost a couple final games of Ben's career and got a better draft pick out of it. And the other part of it is, if they lose on Sunday, I don't care if they lose by 5 touchdowns. If they lose on Sunday, it falls right in line with what a lot of our preseason expectations were. Like we said, around 500, maybe a wild card game, they lose and they're out. Here's my bigger question. I know it's not likely. It's like a 3% chance probably. If they somehow pulled it off in Kansas City, that's where I turn on a dime and I say, yeah, you know what? I got to hand it to the guy.
Like Ben shouldn't have come back, but I can't.
Now that he's here.
Well, but Mike Tomlin, to me, that's not Mike Tomlin. It's the owner's time to step up and say, yes, the quarterback comes back, or no. If the owner is able to make contract decisions on people, Like he is, we don't sign people, we don't negotiate. But yes, the quarterback will give him an extension X amount of years out. The owner is the guy in Art II who could say, yes, you get an RSVP, you're invited back or you're not as the quarterback. Like for me, the coach of the team coaches the team that's assembled by other people and is given to them. And that's how I judge Mike Tomlin.
Well, he has a lot to do with that too, though, I think.
Well,
But I know I understand what you're saying.
I understand he does, but then why are there personnel guys? Why is there a general manager? Why? I think we've made, because a couple people have yacked into microphones in this town saying Mike Tomlin has a bunch of power over personnel. Who really knows that? Who really knows that?
I mean, I just go based on the fact that he's worked with Kevin Colbert for 15 years and is pretty well respected and regarded within that building.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but do you think that Mike Tomlin sits and goes, we're drafting this guy in the third round over this guy in the third round, and he has ultimate power?
I don't know if he has ultimate power. I think, look,
then why is there a general manager?
Because the general manager and the head coach in a lot of instances work together on things. And there are going to be instances where a head coach says to the GM, listen, I feel really strongly about this. I'd really like to have this guy. If you're a guy who's been coaching and been as successful as Mike Tomlin has, and if you're Kevin Colbert and you have the relationship with the head coach, and you go, okay, let's go with that guy then, Mike. Okay, I got no problem with that.
Like, I'm as critical of Mike Tomlin as anyone, but I do think that there are things that are assumed within his role that are unfair to him in terms of player personnel.
Well, but can't we also then give him credit for the personnel wins? If we believe that he's got, and I have a hard time believing he doesn't.
And conversely, that's where I don't think he had anything to say about, hey, please go get Minkah Fitzpatrick. Like, I think that was the front office people who said, this is an identifiable talent we need to go find to infuse in our football team and help them out. I don't think Mike Tomlin sat there on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and was like texting Brandon Hunt and texting Kevin Colbert, I saw Minkah Fitzpatrick's tape. Go get him to help my football team.
No, but you know what that is, though? That's one where Kevin and his group, they say, holy crap, Minkah's available.
Remember what Mike thought of Minkah?
What do you think?
In the pre-draft?
Yeah. So it's a lot more groupthink than
that's my point, I guess. And I think in a lot of instances, maybe the head coach doesn't hold as much sway within that groupthink. When you're Mike Tomlin, like I said, 15-year veteran, no losing seasons. I know that's trite, but nonetheless, it is what it is. A Super Bowl ring to your credit, and everybody in the building's been together for as long as they have. I think he holds a lot more sway over the process.
I just have to take at face value that when they say it's a cooperative effort, and that all input is equal, I'm not sure that it is. I don't know who breaks the ties, but somehow they managed to do it. Have done it fairly well.
I guess my big point is, if people didn't want the quarterback to come back, the guy who broke the tie has 2 Roman numerals after his name, and he's the guy that should have broke that tie.
I mean, he's
I can't put it on Mike Tomlin that the quarterback came back. I put it on Art.
Well, Art ultimately made the call. I mean, if Mike Tomlin wanted the quarterback back, hey, that's his opinion.
But he's also Mike Tomlin's boss.
Yeah.
Again, that's just my point of view. Like, he could have said, you want the quarterback back? That's great. I'm your boss. I say no. We're going in a different – considering he had no problem saying there needs to be more of a push to run the football this year. Art had no problem saying that publicly. None at all.
Well, he's used to saying it over the last couple of years.
Right.